our Bay Area tita. Ew. Yeah. So, I like to share this all the time. I've been having to send out a lot of speaking engagements, and I've been honored to be able to share with other speakers of our Lahui, amazing, beautiful people, and it's fun. When we get together, the like minds, and we just start bouncing and thoughts, and wow, the whole kukuru, like the mind. And I was hanging out with Tita Kaumakaiwa Kanako'ole. She came and did a special sharing with us in Hamakua, and she said something that was very prominent and like impactful for me. And I'm like going to take it everywhere to her girl. I'm going to use that everywhere. She said, you know, when you look at Kanaka, how important our pule, our prayers, our songs, our dances, and again, every single one of us, no matter where our ancestral lines go back to, we had ceremony, we had dance, you had music, no matter what origin that is. Yeah? And really, as she said, song and dance is the only natural resource that we as humans actually create without taking taking life from other things. It is the only natural resource that we produce. This energy that we put out there to help to feed. What do we create that just feeds from ourselves? Yeah? Well, of course, then after we die, our body also goes back, but not now. We fill ourselves with so much toxic junk, we become little cesspools wherever we're planted. Yeah? We didn't. We used to be able to help to feed stuff. Oh, I know. But that was really impactful. So, you know what, in this day and age, you know, so many human, Kanaka modern man today are pulled away from ritual, or have been are done with it, because some have gone so in the wrong direction that people have just stepped away from these things. And some were forced. Some of our traditional ways and songs and dances were stripped from us. Yeah? And in that, for me, what that is doing, like when because, you know, I always go back to, you know, in a way too, this is an environmental movement. Let's not forget that. It is strongly led by Kanaka Maoli and Hawaiian cultural practice, because our culture is completely scientific and is completely created by Aina. And then the cycles and everything in Hawaiian culture comes from engaging with Aina. So when we got to be us in Hawaii, when we got to be Hawaiians in Hawaii, when Hawaiian practices are lived in Hawaii, it is an intrinsic. It's an important part. It plays a very important role in the natural ecosystem. So, because I always said, this is one of the sicknesses that we are facing today, is because we're dominated by a particular scientific perspective of a particular people, yeah, who saw their way and has demanded the whole world bow down to their way. You're in a colonized island, you guys. I hope you don't. I have a feeling in this crowd. I'm kind of speaking to the choir. I know you guys heard a lot of this before, but just always to remind ourselves that we're under colonized. There's major colonization. A lot of us, even if you have just recently moved here, you might have come because your people were colonized. Yeah, and some of that colonization of different peoples happened, you know, more recently, or some just longer ago. Yeah. So this time, the world is crying out to everybody to remember back to a point of the teachings of how to listen to Aina. No matter what Aina you come from, it's about listening to the Aina that you're at. Okay? And in that, Hawaiian culture is prominent and one of the best to follow. Why? Because it was taught by this land. You can look at all the navigation stories. Yes, we migrated here. Our kupuna came on the Va'a long ago, thousands of years ago. And even some of the oldest logs, like the Mo'olelo, everyone thinks we came from Tahiti. Well, yeah, well, check with those stories and check with the Tahitians. Even they say when they got here, already had people here. So we are part of that. Yeah? So if we are just, just another Polynesian race, how come we different? How come we different from our Tahitian relatives? How come we all different as different Polynesians? If they all came from the same place. Well, how come we're different? Because our Aina is different. Culture is not simply a creation of man. Culture is the result of hundreds of thousands of years of influence of the Aina onto the people. So it literally shapes us. Our people being, that's why you give, if I ask you what your ethnicity is, your background, your answers to me are land bases. Your response is a land base. Because all of our kupuna at one point were intrinsic parts of the places. So it's not, oh, I'm a human being from Hawaii. I am Hawaiian because I'm in Hawaii. And my genetic makeup goes back to this soil. And the culture that I descend from was taught to us by these trees and by these mountains and by this water. The language I speak is influenced by the sounds of this land. So culture is all different cultures of the world, the cultures, indigenous cultures of places are the instructions on how to live in a place and become part of it. Because right now the sickness that we're at is when we're in a time where we as a species have been taught to exclude ourselves in the measurement of nature. When they always go like, oh, we're going to learn about the ecosystem today. And then we talk about the birds, we talk about the water, we talk about the forest, we talk about the plants and the fauna, all these things. And then we always forget to mention one particular species. We somehow always exclude ourselves from that conversation. What the? Hello? What is wrong? That is why we keep messing up. That's why we continue to build where we don't belong. We continue to extract more than we need. We continue to damage the ecosystems because we are not calculating ourselves into the effects of an ecosystem. Indigenous people, indigenous culture, native culture, whatever terminology you want, in that, is an intrinsic, I try to use that word a lot, I keep messing up. I get it. Is an important, critical component to how the land survives. Because everything, we can learn from Hawaii right now. Well, how they say everything came to Hawaii. WWW, right? Wind, wave, wing. Yeah, and that basic conceptual understanding of how things naturally got to Hawaii is like one thing appeared maybe once every 10,000 years. You had a new introduction of a new species. And so each thing that came had thousands of years to adapt itself to fit into this ecosystem. At one point, it was the Kanaka. When our HAAS arrived here, and we've been here, isolated on these islands for thousands of years, we literally, physically became part of this place. And we fit into Aina. Was it a perfect fit? I don't think so. I think that there were mistakes made, and they paid attention to it. And they changed in order to make sure that they would not continue to be, okay, it's my own personal hypothesis, okay? Again, hypothesis. Because most of all the scientific is all on guess, yeah? They're all just guessing. We look into the star and we see the star that has this gas. I think. Not all the same gas is blue. We make like we know everything in the universe already. Okay, but well, that little joke just took me off the wrong track. What did I say? Seriously, I totally lost it. Where was I going? What did I say right before this?
Your hypothesis.
Oh, my hypothesis of our connection here. So, there's fossil evidence of large flightless birds in Hawaii. They call them the moa. Large. The fossil evidence are found. I think they found some evidence on Mauna Loa and Kauai. And the carbon dating of these bones show that they lived right alongside with our Polynesian ancestors. Yeah? But what happened to them? So the hypothesis, I don't know. But the hypothesis is that when they first arrived, they hunted them to extinction. I think our kupuna would learn from that mistake. Because then look at our kapu system. Particularly when it comes to managing resources and harvesting from and gathering from our natural environment, yeah? You catch that wrong fish out of the wrong time of year, you're dead. Again, now our modern mind would say, oh, they would kill you for a fish? Our mind thinks, what makes you any more important than the fish? Yeah? So understand what the kapu was based on. What is the root of what the kapu was actually trying to make sure to stop? It was trying to sustain sustainability by trying to nip and not allow something to thrive? What is it that would drive the people to say, well, I don't care if the fish is out of season, I want to eat it now? Greed. That is the root of what the couples were making sure to snuff out. Why? Because I think our kupuna will learn the hard way. And we have plenty more olelo. When we had, especially Ali'i, who kind of started to get a little bit greedy. And we knew how to get rid of them. Oh shucks, look, his canoe is too heavy, just piolo. Of course, ka'u famous, yeah? But that's the most important part, to remember to always snuff out that greed that would continue to thrive and just consume everything. Yeah? Now we're living in a culture that thrives on greed. Capitalize on everything. Yeah? Take as much as you can and give as little back as possible. That's the culture we're stuck in. Yeah? How do you capitalize, maximize your intake? Yeah? Oh, that's sad. Yeah? Everyone wants to argue, it's not a bad thing. Try and look at the world then. Look at the health of our planet in just barely 100 years that has become the dominating concept in the world. People want to argue sometimes numbers back at us about it. It's like, open your eyes. I'm not interested in entertaining arguments about that when I'm looking at the face of our babies and realizing I can't guarantee them a future. Because your numbers say something. Screw your numbers. We're dealing with the real world right here. Okay, so how does it have to do with the mountain? Same sickness. We are facing the same sickness on the mountain. Now, this is not a personal, or it's not really a jab at the science of astronomy, but about the corporate and the business that's built around it. Yeah? That is just going to ramrod it as much as they can. Why? Because what is happening on Mauna Kea at our Aina's expense is a competition. Who gonna find what first and slap their name on it and get famous? Now that's not to disregard, of course, the noble science of trying to, and wanting to increase the knowledge of the world, but let's not be fooled that there's not an underlying layer of capitalists getting ready to maximize their intake on this. And we're just saying, yeah, we're not willing to sacrifice our place for your game anymore. We're not. No, we're done. We're done with that. And that concept, Mauna Kea for me, it's a microcosm of what we're dealing with in so many other arenas. Yeah? But to look at the top of this mountain is very important. So we have, of course, our sacred connections, our ancestral, our traditional practices, and understandings of our pilina to this mountain, as the mountain is born of Wakea and Papa. Yeah, the union of heaven and earth at that point. Yeah? The Mauna Kea is sacred because of its uniqueness as well. It's very sacred because of its uniqueness, that it's so high that it actually penetrates out of the realm of Papa and exists in the realm of Wakea. It's in the atmospheric realms. Yeah? And above that, it exists above where those of the Papa realm live, like the Kumu Lanakila, the trees, the plants. They can't live up there. It's so high, it's in the Wakea realm. So then, those animals and plants that are found up there, they are of such high significance. They're not of the same realm as those bugs and plants down here. They are in their own. They've had to evolve into their own unique species. Because if you go take that little fern that's growing all over the TMT site, yeah, you take some time, holo inside there, they're going to tell you, no, there. You say, yeah, chokin, kupu, all these unique types of ferns. Some of them look like ferns from the lowlands, but obviously, if I go get a polapolai from here, I go plant it up on Mauna Kea, you're not going to live. Likewise, if I go get that fern from way up there and say, I'll go plant them in my yard, you're not going to live. If I go find the pe'epe'e makawalo, the wolf spider that lives all over in the Pahoa flow that is the northern plateau, if I go catch that bug and bring it down, he's going to die before we get to the bottom. But I find the king spider down here. Oh, he looked like the one up there. Go take him up there. He's going to die. Thank goodness. But so the plants. Understand some of the. There's a great video out there. If you guys go on to what was it called again? There's an interview from way back in 2014. I just reposted it more recently. I want to try to circulate it again. It's an interview with this young man. I forgot his name. But he made this video when the mountains first started because he was actually one of the field students that went out to help to collect the research for when they did the EIS and everything for the TMT site. And he came out afterwards to say that the environmental impact assessment that came out, their data was extremely, what's the word he used? Was it? No, yeah, not a fancy word. See, I tried to use the English fancy word. Like